Okay, so we are going to work on the independent practice piece on page 743, but we're going to do this together as a group. Yes, you need to do these with me, even if you think that you just know these, but we are going to practice because this is the foundation to lead us into tomorrow when we are dealing with a triangular prism. So all of these are rectangular prism because they all have a rectangle for the base. So let's take a look at this first one. Find the volume of each prism. So make sure you have your calculators out. So 4 2/5, which if we know fifths, we should know that if we take 2 divided by 5, we're going to get 4/10 because 2/5 is the exact same as 4/10. So we're going to go ahead and do V equals, and we're going to do length times width times height, and our V equals 4.4 times 10 times 3. And so when I take 4.4 times 10 times 3, I'm going to get 132 meters cubed. Make sure you have that cube on there, otherwise it's going to be wrong. Okay? All right, let's take a look at this one. So we're going to look at V equals length times width times height, and we're going to go ahead and we can do 12 3/8 in a couple of different ways. We can go ahead and turn 12 3/8 into an improper fraction, and we can take 3 divided by 8, so take 3 divided by 8 on your calculator, and 3 divided by 8 gets us 0.375. So over here I'm going to write 3/8 equals 0.375, okay? So now I just need to put a 12 in front. So V equals 12.375 times 10 times 5. So I'm going to multiply all of those together, and I'm going to get that V equals 618.75 yards cubed. Okay, let's take a look at this next one. Let's figure out the big B. We're going to do the V equals base times height. So we're going to find the bottom base. So notice that this right here, this 4 and 3, actually I'm going to kind of change my colors here. Let's go back so that I know what we're focusing on this question. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this right here. We're going to actually do V equals capital B times height. So we know that this one is 6, and we know that this right here is actually the height, which means that this is a 6 by 6. So V equals 6 times 6, which is 36, times 4 3/4. Okay, well 4 3/4, that's easy, that's just like quarters, so 4.75. And when I take 36 times 4.75, I get 171 inches cubed. Okay, so remember that that big B stands for the area of the base, the bottom number. Okay, the bottom part. Okay, the base, the bottom part. All right, let's take a look at number 4. Number 4 says a fishing tackle box is 13 inches long, 6 inches wide, and 2.5 inches high. What is the volume of this tackle box? So V equals length times width times height. V equals the length is 13 times the width, which is 6, times the height, which is 2.5, which is the same as 2.5. Make it easy on ourselves. When we multiply all those together, we get V equals 13 times 6 times 2.5 equals 195, and let's label it inches cubed. Inches cubed. All right, let's take a look at number 5. Number 5 is find the length of the rectangular prism having a volume of 2,830.5 cubic meters. So let's go V equals length times width times height. And they are telling us that we know the volume, which is 2,830.5 equals, it has a width and a height, which means we are missing our length. So we're going to keep the L there. Okay, and our width is 18.5 and our height is 9. So we're going to take 18.5 times 9. 18.5 times 9 gets us 166.5, and then our length, which is L, still equals 2,830.5. And we know that we need to divide each side by 166.5. So we're going to take 2,830.5 divided by 166.5, which is going to give us the length, our L, of 17. So we need to label that 17. And we are talking about meters. It is 17 meters. 17 meters. Okay, let's take a look at this. Find the missing dimension. We're just going to do number 6, and then this is it. So they've given us our volume. We don't have our length. We have our height, which is 4, and our width, which is 2.5. So V equals length times width times height. We know our volume, which is 6. Our length we don't know, so we're going to keep that as our unknown, times 2.5 times 4. So we're going to take 60 equals 60 equals 2.5 times 4, which is 10, which leaves us 10L. Now, inverse operation to get the L by itself. Since we're multiplying, we're going to divide each side by 10, which means my L equals 6, and we've got to make sure we label it. So we're going to bring that up here to 6 inches. So my length is 6 inches. Okay. You are good to go as far as we've gone through plenty of examples. If you went too fast and you did not understand this before you go to do your homework, which your homework is lesson 1, numbers 1 through 10 all, and it needs to be put on Connect Ed by tomorrow. So make sure you take your time and you go through and you do all these problems using these examples. If you still did not understand it, then go back to part 1 of the lesson and look at it again.